In a time where it's so easy to keep it real, where everyone wants to tell the truth, where everyone wants to expose everyone else but themselves, I think we reached a time and point where we have to, in this journey, look at ourselves and see what exactly it is that we need to be vulnerable with and be open about. This episode is going to be an interesting one because I'm going to get transparent and vulnerable. And I'm currently making a funny face because I don't want to do this, but it's unto the glory of God. So we're going to have a nice conversation about something funny, but something kind of true. There are 4 things, at least 4 anyway, that I don't want my future husband to know about me. I'm going to be real with y'all and let y'all know those 4 things in a moment. But I don't know. Have you ever thought about this? Like the whole being in a relationship with someone and them getting to know more about you and the real you, not the Instagram you, but the real you. Yeah, that one. We're going to talk about that in this episode. This is Tatiana Green, your host for Journey Through 30. About you, but there's some things I just want to not disclose right away to my future spouse. I think this is something that men and women can consider because I do have guys who listen to the show, which is great. Y'all more than welcome to sit at the table. But for the ladies, if you all are interested in getting married one day and you're just now understanding yourself past 30 and you're realizing I got some stuff I got to deal with. There's stuff about me that God is dealing with me. And I'm going to have to eventually show this side to my spouse. What? Yeah, this is real life right here. So I'm sharing 4 things that I don't want my future husband to know about me. And this is embarrassing and yeah, it's real. I'm just keeping it real with y'all. So in no particular order, I'm going to share 4 of them, 4 attributes. So one of them is petty sarcasm. I can get really sarcastic. Sometimes I can be petty with my sarcasm. I don't like to be a petty person, but if I'm pushed the wrong way, oh yes, you will get the petty sarcasm. Don't play with me. 90% of the time, I'm a nice person, but that 10% though, you might just get that sarcastic side. And so I learned over the past few years that sarcasm is, in a lot of times, a defense mechanism. And it's something that is not necessarily godly. So sometimes, if I'm sarcastic or short with someone and I use petty sarcasm, I would get checked by the Holy Spirit. And I'm like, oh, I wasn't supposed to do that. I wasn't supposed to treat that person that way. I don't want to get too familiar with anyone, let alone my husband, with my petty sarcasm. So I pray that the Lord checks me before I wreck him or anything else, because men and women have the power of life and death in their tongues. But women, as I learned over this past weekend, in the words that we use towards our men, they are like a construction manual. And that's what I learned at the Redefined Tour, led by Jerry and Tanisha Flowers. They have an awesome ministry here on YouTube. So I will share the link to their channel so you can check them out, but they're great. But they shared with the audience during that tour that, the words that we say, positive, negative, and in between, have an effect on our spouses. So I want to make sure that the words that I say aren't coming out of defense or coming from some bitter place that he doesn't deserve. So yes, petty sarcasm, I definitely don't want him to get a lot of that. I mean, it's going to happen eventually, but I don't want him to get a lot of that. So I'm praying Lord, work on me now. So when he does arrive in my life, I will be able to to talk to him the way he deserves to be talked to, with respect, with honor, with truth, of course, but not with petty sarcasm. So the next one is, I'd probably say, is my nighttime regimen. If you're a girly girl like me, you have to do certain things to get ready for bed. And I realized that my nighttime regimen takes like an hour. And I don't know why it takes an hour. It's just like that time goes by so fast. I'm just trying to function. My hair is not even natural, y'all. And I have to do my hair, to floss and brush my teeth. I have to wash my face. I have to moisturize because, there's impurities in the air and you're dealing with coughing people on the train now. Like, ew, I don't want those germs on my face all day and all night. No. I just ask y'all to extend your hand to the screen on YouTube and just extend a prayer to my future husband. Like, let him have patience because for whatever reason, it takes a long time for me to get ready for bed. I'm like, okay, Lord, he gonna just be waiting, and I'm just like, okay, I'm done. I'm going to bed now, and you just sleep. Oh, hopefully that's not the case, but it's the truth. It's my truth, and so maybe I'll be more efficient with working on this stuff. But yeah, ladies, if you have a more efficient way of getting ready for bed, let me know. But yeah, so far that's where I'm at. I'm pretty sure it's not a full hour, but it's definitely not a 10-minute situation. The next one is PMS Rage. This is for the women. Y'all may understand me a little more than the men. Because women, we go through this. We go through hormone changes. And I will tell you, as a testimony, when you turn 30, your hormones change again. I have more breakouts now after 30 than I did when I was a teenager. Rude. My body is so rude for that. And then then my PMS symptoms are they are the same, but I just don't want to deal with the PMS anger that I get, or I call it PMS rage, where I get upset for no reason. I'm just mad, and I'm mad that I'm mad. I'm like, okay, this has to be a PMS because I don't understand why I'm short with myself. I'm short with everybody else. And I don't want to be short with my husband because I'm taking it out on him. PMS is no joke. So gentlemen, if you're listening and you have a lady in your life, or you grow up with women, or your mom, going through changes, going through menopause, going through pregnancy hormones, going through regular premenstrual hormones, you may run into some of these emotional flare-ups where we get super happy or super sad or super angry. Please just hug us or leave us alone, or just pretty much just do what we asked you to do. Just do what we asked you to do. I just want to be held, and just give me a hug. Don't talk to me. Just hug me, feed me. Let me do what I need to do on my own, and then I'll come back to you when I'm ready. That's how PMS works. So again, that's something I'm gonna have to give to the Lord. Like, I need you, Lord, to help me so I don't take it out on my spouse. He doesn't deserve that. So yeah, I don't know about y'all, but let me know in the comments if you go through similar things, or if you're embarrassed about the same thing. Like Tatiana, I do not like my PMS, and I don't want to take it out on anybody else. I get you. I understand. So before I get to the last one, I definitely want to make sure that you guys are so awesome. Thank you so much for your feedback so far on these last 2 episodes that we had for Journey Through 30 here on YouTube. And I look forward to sharing even more episodes and content with you every week. That's keeping me accountable, so that make sure that I'm doing what I'm supposed to do. And I appreciate your feedback, your subscribes, your comments, your shares, the likes, everything. I really appreciate it. So if you haven't subscribed already to the channel, make sure you click that button below that says subscribe. And don't forget, Journey Through 30 is also a page on Facebook. We have the link in the bio here on YouTube, and it's also in the description. So make sure you check us out on Facebook, because I'm constantly sharing articles from other women who are going through their own journey through 30, sharing videos, sharing audio, sharing articles. Some of my fellow bloggers who are talking about their experiences, whether they're moms, whether they're wives, whether they're single, whether they are going through changes in their lives. They have some great content and great stories, because we all have different journeys to go through. And some of our experiences are pretty much the same. They're just at different times, you know? So I definitely want to share their voices. So if you want to hear even more wonderful, inspiring perspectives of women who are going through their own journey through 30 and even journey through 40, go to facebook.com/journey through 30. All right, that was my plug. Are you ready for the last point? The last thing I don't want my future husband to know about me. I'm cringing just thinking about having to say this on the mic. All right, guys. People who know me and know me well, and y'all know who you are. Y'all know the Tati, not Tatiana, Tati. Y'all know what I'm capable of. And I am definitely capable of not being the best when it comes to this one thing. Whew, I'm scared to even say it. Lord, I don't want to say it, but I'm saying it. Okay, all right. I do not want my future husband to know how gassy I can get. Yeah, I said it. Gassy. I could tell you my family members know me for sure because they know my gas. They're like, Tati, you fart, girl. Like, oh my God, so embarrassing. But my brother, my sister, my mom, stories, they got their own stories about their own experiences with my body odor. And that's not something, like, oh my God, it's a consistent thing, but it's definitely something that I deal with mostly like around nighttime, after dinner, after I had some really good food. And I love beans and I love vegetables like broccoli and spinach and all that, all the gassy foods, right? So I need to get either sponsored by Beano or I need to get some other natural form of relieving gas without making a big stink about it. Pun intended. So I'm not the only one who has this thing that I'm not necessarily too thrilled about to expose to my husband. Of all the great qualities that I may think I have sincere insecurity and fear about that part. I'm like, oh my God, he's gonna run away. He's gonna divorce me because of my gas and my farting. It's not like it's something that's natural. Like everybody does it. Everybody poops. Everybody pees. Everybody farts. But I don't want to be the one to do it. You know what I mean? I don't want to have that kind of fart that runs people away. If you think about that scene from The Lion King where Pumbaa's at the water hole and he farts and all the animals scatter. I don't want to be Pumbaa to my husband. I want to be me. I want to fart wonderful smelling things, but unfortunately that's not the case. But you know what, ladies? Men fart too. And they poop. And their feet stink. And their breath stinks. Just like us. So I had to get over that because that's a common thing that happens with all human beings. And so my little insecurities about my little bodily odor that comes from naturally eating good, y'all. Okay? It just happens. And so I had to get over it. Now, if he's one of those particular guys with a sensitive nose, again, Lord, just touch his nose down. But he'll get over it. And I'll have to get over his little quirks and things that he probably wouldn't want me to know about him either. And that's leading to the points that I'm making about all of this. I'm not making this video just to talk about myself and the things that I'm insecure about. I'm talking about the point of we have to become vulnerable at some point if we want to have successful relationships and thriving marriages. Becoming vulnerable is something that we nowadays have problems doing because of so many factors. One of them being sin, another thing being past experiences with people. Maybe we've been burned by people, maybe we've been rejected and we have that fear, we're carrying it into our current situation. And also this need to be perfect. Like, no, you're not going to be perfect. Your spouse is not going to be perfect. It's about becoming vulnerable before your spouse because it's necessary. Vulnerability means that you're able to be open and free and honest and pure before your spouse. Like, this is what I'm dealing with. This is what I'm going through. This is who I am. accept me as I am or have nothing at all. Thank you, Mary J. Blige. But if you want to take it to the Bible, we can. In Genesis 2 and 25, better yet, if we look at Genesis 2 and 24, it shows us that Adam and Eve were in the garden and they were naked and unashamed. So let's talk about what led up to that point. So God made Adam. God thought it wasn't cool for man to be alone, so he's going to make a suitable helpmate for Adam. So he put Adam to sleep, got a rib up out of Adam, and formed a woman. And then Adam saw his bride, Eve, and he's like, oh snap, she shall be called woman, for she was taken out of man. So at Genesis 2 and 24, it starts off with, for this reason, a man will leave his father and mother and be united to his wife, and they will become one flesh. The man and his wife were both naked, and they felt no shame. Ooh, yes. Okay, so first of all, they were man and wife. So they were married. So in a marriage relationship, you get the benefits of being naked and unashamed because you don't have anything to necessarily cover up because you guys are becoming one. If you're not married and you're becoming one with somebody you're not married to, there's going to be some level of shame to that because you're not all the way like in covenant relationship with that person. But that's another topic for another day. So when it comes to those 4 things or whatever number of things you don't want your future spouse to know about you, guess what? They're going to know about those things anyway. But because you all come together under the covenant that God set up in marriage, you become one. And your unique qualities and their unique qualities are going to mix together. Y'all going to be one unit. And hopefully you accept one another and you encourage one another to become better as God desires you to become better. Not judging each other based off of those little things that really don't matter at the end of the day, but really helping them become who they are supposed to be. We can be so afraid of being vulnerable because we don't want to be rejected. You should want to be able to love your spouse and be loved in return. That's something we all want. So part of that being loved and loving the way that God wants you to is being able to become vulnerable. In this journey of you discovering vulnerability, explore that with God first. God is the one you should be most vulnerable with out of anyone else in this world. You can be very vulnerable with your spouse. That would be an ideal situation. But ultimately, you should be able to be vulnerable before God. You should be able to be naked and unashamed before God because He knows all of that stuff about you anyway. He knows your sin. He knows your quirks. He knows your good points. He knows your flaws. He knows the things that you are insecure about that He says are flawless. And He knows your future. So if you have a problem becoming vulnerable before God, guess what? You're going to be vulnerable, inept when it comes to your spouse, meaning you're going to have issues becoming vulnerable with your mate. So if you are single and want to be married, you should practice becoming vulnerable with God. And even if you don't feel like you're called to marriage, just go before the Lord. Practice being vulnerable, being open and honest with Him about how you feel about yourself, and allow Him to show you the reality of those flaws, those insecurities, those things that you're so hung up on that really aren't a big deal. The things that I listed about myself, God's like, girl, what? He is so in love with us and He loves us so unconditionally. He doesn't care about all those little things. He wants us. He wants our heart. He wants our attention. He wants our devotion to Him. When we have fear, it can take place of where God's love is supposed to be. So if you are having trouble being vulnerable with somebody, most of the time it's going to be because of fear. And so you have to really question, well, why am I fearful? What do I have to be afraid for? What do I have to be afraid of? Because who's for me is for me, and who God has for me will not reject me like that. So, guys, I encourage you to question your insecurities. Question where did that fear come from and ask God to remove the fear because He didn't give it to us. For the Bible says that God didn't give us the spirit of fear, but power, love, and a sound mind, self-control, self-discipline. So we're able to submit those things to Him. Like, Lord, I'm feeling fearful about this whole PMS rage, this whole petty sarcasm thing, this gas, Lord, take all of it. But more than anything, take my insecurities that I may feel, because once we get hung up on those insecurities, which happen all in the mind, they're going to start to reflect in our actions. And then we're hiding things, and then we're acting weird and making things awkward. And before you know it, you created something because of your insecurities, because you let fear creep in your heart. Come on, y'all. We can do better than this. We're getting older, we're getting wiser, and God is giving us the keys to success in relationships. And that comes with being able to become vulnerable with Him so we can become vulnerable in our relationships. I want you to succeed as I desire to succeed. So if you have any questions about this, feel free to shoot me an email. I leave it in the description below. I feel a lot better, honestly, sharing this with you all now that we walked through this. I know we all have our things that we may be a little embarrassed about, or maybe you have things that you're legitimately ashamed of. Not everybody has a squeaky clean past or did everything by the book. So if you have sin or past mistakes that you take to your grave, some secrets that you know that are only between you and God, I ask you to go to God about those things so that they don't become a problem that arise later on in your life. Because you don't want to be haunted by anything by your past, but be able to look at it and say, I learned from my mistakes. I am not who I was before. All right, so that is it for this week. I hope you got something from it instead of me just talking about my business. But I ask you to consider your personal issues and, again, bring them before the Lord, and that you enjoy your journey. All right, this is your host, Tatiana Green, author of Journey to 30, and your host for Journey Through 30. All right, have a great night. Bye.